Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports, and it is NFL Draft Eve, the night before the draft. Will the Rams stay on the clock at 26 on Thursday? Will they trade back? Will they trade up? We're going to get all into the latest rumors, the latest news, and our personal hypotheses for what happens on one of the greatest weekends in all of sports. We'll have coverage for you the entire time. We'll get more on that later. But first and foremost, my man, Mr. Skinny T, what is up? Great looking sweater. How we doing?
Doing great, man. We were talking about it beforehand, but stopped by the Athletics The Beast launch party over at Via's Tacos here in Highland Park. Got to meet the Chargers beat writer, Daniel Popper there. But more importantly, I got a free hat from the Athletic.
Look at that.
And it's now a prized possession. Not going to sport it on this show. Always repping LAFB here. But I'm happy to have another hat in the collection.
It's great. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's free. Look at that. I need to up our I need to look. I think I need to redo our LAFB hats. Because you have a one. I don't even know if that's still. I redid our store recently. I need to redo our hat. There's a shirt I'm going to launch actually. If anyone's interested, shameless plug here. I just thought about it when I was in the shower today, because so long story short, we won't get into the draft talk. One of my best friends, him and his wife eloped during COVID. So they got married during COVID. You know, no one could do anything, but they were like waiting to get married. They just ended up eloping. So finally now, 5 years later, they've decided, they already have a kid now, been married 5 years, decided they're going to have like a celebration to actually have, you know, I guess renew their vows in a way and have a celebration. Well, they sent us the date, and of course, it's a fall wedding on a Saturday when USC plays Michigan here at the Coliseum. So, you know, I got to wrestle with that. Do I go to my best friend's renewal of vows, or do I go watch the Trojans take down the Wolverines? So I'm going to make a shirt basically that just says, I'm deciding if I want to do like the 0 with the X through it, like no, or like ban fall weddings. Just a very simple shirt with the LAFB logo, but something about ban fall weddings. Any ideas on what the actual like verbiage should be?
I'll have to give that some thought, but that's great. You know,
outlaw fall weddings,
there
boycott
could be
fall weddings.
Boycott is a good one, perhaps. You know, NFL, it could be something about the fall in there. No fall nuptials. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, the something league. You know, the no fall weddings league or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So something there. And sadly, as I'm saying this and making this, I had a fall wedding. So, you know, most of the time us guys don't have real say. It's the women that decide when that date lands, and fall is obviously such a beautiful time, but man, it's brutal for the football season having a fall wedding. And it always is like on a very meaningful game as well. Like it's never just like some throwaway, like Rams Cardinals. I know it's a division game, but I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. I can miss Rams Cardinals, but it'd be like Rams Niners or Rams Eagles or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm of the age now where like all my friends are now getting divorces, and they don't really throw parties for those. So that's not all my friends, a couple of my friends that got divorced. But
isn't there a movie that they have like a divorce party? I think there is. I don't remember what it is, but there is. Okay, I mean, last thing.
No happy marriage ends in divorce. So it could be considered a good thing.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah, if you're that unhappy, like celebrate being maybe happy finally.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, everyone wants to know, Skinny, because this is a tradition like any other that I will be partaking in tonight. I actually partake in it every evening from Monday till the draft. And I know you somehow, I have no idea how, have yet to see this Oscar-nominated performance. Kevin Costner in Draft Day. Are you watching it tonight?
I guess I'm going to have to.
You better.
Wow, there's a Warriors game on tonight. So,
boy, afterward, you gotta stay up late, I guess. I know, because I got the Kings game on tonight, got the Avs game on tonight. A lot of hockey. Luckily, the Lakers played last night. But I'm gonna watch the hockey games and throw in Draft Day at like 11:30. It's gonna be a late night.
Hey, we're starting a little later tomorrow, so maybe I could talk myself into it.
Yeah, or maybe squeeze it in tomorrow morning if you have to. You can do it first thing when you wake up. Get your morning Joe and throw on the old Cost and Jennifer Gardner and Draft Day. It's a gem.
I'm gonna make it happen somehow.
It's so good. It's so good.
3-parter. I'm gonna watch it, like a little bit here and there. I don't know.
You have to do it. So anyway, every draft eve, like I said, actually draft week, I watch it every night. It's a classic. It's so good. It's so bad, but it's so good. Love it. So anyway, real NFL draft is, less than 24 hours away, or about 24 hours away when we were recording this. Rams currently on the clock at 26. Let's start with good old Schrags, Peter Schrager, who just recently left NFL Network for ESPN, which I know I get off the rails easy here, but it's always fascinating to me that NFL Network obviously is funded by the NFL, and like people always leave the NFL Network for ESPN, which would lead you to believe they're getting a pay raise. You would think the NFL could pay whatever they want to keep the top tier talent, right? Like that always is weird to me, unless they just think it's better for their career to go to ESPN, more exposure.
Yeah, grass is always greener, and I can tell you this. We've learned this being in this industry for a little while. Watch where people are being hired, and that's where the investment is pouring into at that very moment.
Cool.
People are getting hired and fired and moving around in this industry constantly. It's hard to predict, but Yahoo put a bunch of money into their sports recently.
Mm-hmm.
Cowherd was apparently being contacted by ESPN. He decides to stay with Fox. But it's funny that the NFL Network it's the NFL.
Yeah. They don't even have like advertising on their website because they don't need it. It's just funded. The NFL revenue goes into it.
Yeah, but I think he was the one that said he had to pay his way to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Really? I did. Wait, he had to pay his way?
I think it was Schrager that said that. And he's an OG too. Like he like really, put that show on the map and 24, not 24/7, but every week he's on TV talking football, which it's not easy. Some of these months get a little barren.
Yeah, a little dry. A little dry. So I love the NFL Network. I love Good Morning Football. So it's always sad when you see one of them leave for ESPN or one of the other big networks, but happy for him. So anyway, we say all that because those Rams fans know of all the kind of NFL insiders. I think Schrager is the most connected with the Rams. Seems to always be very on point. Obviously, great relationship with Sean McVay, was at his wedding. Good friends and knows Les Snead well. And so of all the insiders, he's the one we put the most stock in. So he came out with his, I don't even know if he did other ones, to be honest with you. It's been a whirlwind this draft season, but his final edition of his mock draft, I'll let you say it. What did he have the Rams doing?
Trading back with the Giants. The Giants move up to 26 to take Jackson Dart. We should talk a little bit more quarterbacks, actually. But trading back from 26 to 36, picking up 99. So they're moving back into the early second round. So, what does that mean exactly? And then adding another third rounder. So they go 90, 99, 101, all in that back half of the third round. That moves them from 8 picks to 9 picks total. So, sounds like a very Les Snead kind of maneuver. I've said it multiple times where he calls this portion of the draft purgatory, where, if you can add value, pick up a good player. Like, what's the difference between 26 and 36? In reality, like, you hear, draft experts, GMs talk about top 50. You think about top 5 players, top 10 or 15 players, and then it really goes to top 50 players and especially in this draft, like the consensus, there's only 3 consensus top 5 players.
Yeah.
And there's only 21 top first round, like that consensus first rounders. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of variance in this draft. So I've been predicting a trade up or a trade down, where they can go get kind of let's just call it a generational player. But what we should really call it is a guy that they'll re-sign to a second contract.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about the defense and like how they're going to work that out. This is a different conversation for a different day, but you think about all those rookie contracts on the defensive side, but yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to re-sign some of them, or they won't have a team when that time
and
comes.
not resign some guys.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it'll be
exactly.
interesting.
So the only real big, I totally agree with your point. The only big difference between picking at 26 and 36, because I agree, I think the talent level, unless it's like your guy falls that spot, but the general talent is the same. The only difference is at 26, you get that 5th year option, right? Because it's a first round pick. So you get that 5th year option. Whereas if you move to the second round, then it's, 4-year contract. And at the end of that, it's it. They hit free agency. So some teams like to still have that back end pick because it gives them that 5th year flexibility and that more cost controlled flexibility, if you will. So we'll see if the Rams do indeed want that. I've seen other mocks before, and we won't get into it, but seen them trade back to like 31 or 32 just so they can stay within that first round to get that 5th year option. But the talent level, yeah, is very similar. I mean, this is a different team, obviously, but 2 years ago, the Chargers at 21 or 22 took Quentin Johnston. Obviously, everyone, even if you're not a Chargers fan, it's well documented how his career has gone thus far. And then last year at 37 in the second round, took Ladd McConkey, and we saw how great Ladd McConkey is. Now, that's not obviously always going to happen, but it just shows the variance between pick 26 and pick 36 is not very big in terms of player talent. It's more going to come down to the value of that 5th year option, which the way the Rams kind of look ahead in contracts, part of me says that they would value that and they would try to stay. But based on everything Snead has said, and based obviously on Schrager being connected, they obviously just want a second round pick and they want another pick in some round. And if they can get a third, that's pretty high value in reality to move back, whatever it is, 10 spots and adding a third, not like a 6th or a 5th, like that's pretty good. So I think if the Giants want Dart that bad, but here's the other question. Should the Rams want Dart that bad? If Dart's there at 26, it can allude to your quarterback question and we can bring up Stafford and what he said. What do you think?
I've been in the camp that definitely a quarterback in this draft. Or Dan Orlovsky disagrees with me on that. Shouldn't try to go for a quarterback, which I find insane.
Well, I love I really do like Orlovsky, but he's like
Yeah.
in love with Stafford, so he wants to do nothing that even remotely goes against Stafford.
I have to apologize to everybody. I'm like red constantly now because I'm running and it's been sunny. So I just look, my face is glowing constantly. I'm not mad or emotional. It's just the sun.
I think you look great. I didn't even notice the red hue.
Well,
At least you don't have like just a shiny chrome dome like I do.
Yeah, I think 26 is a reach for Jackson Dart. I think, what Les Snead said coming into this is that he doesn't want to reach for a quarterback. I would say that you probably at some point are going to have to. And so I think it's a bit of a reach, but I think, this is the Super Bowl window. Matthew Stafford is the Super Bowl window. So if you want to go in all in, if you think, Trey Amos at 26 is going to win you a Super Bowl, you got to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think trading back, you can still find a quality cornerback, which is a position really that they have not valued outside of since Jalen Ramsey. I'll say that they've obviously invested in it in years past, but not since Jalen Ramsey, and defense in general has been suspect until 2 years ago. So, what are your thoughts on, should they reach for a quarterback there or?
Yeah. So for me, I just don't think Dart is a reach at 26. I think we're going to see him go earlier than that, in my opinion. Now, all this like weird kind of Shedeur Sanders stuff going on, like we see every draft, like all of a sudden there's all this like aloof, unsourced, unnamed people talking about certain players and disparity, whether it's on purpose or not. So who knows if Sanders, I mean, I saw his like draft line on FanDuel now is like 21 and a half, like over under 21 and a half, which is insane considering, this whole process, he's been seen as a top 10 pick. But I say all that because like, okay, if he goes where we all thought he would go in the top 10, then I think Dart ends up going in the teens. So if Dart's there at 26, to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm making that pick. Depending on the board, obviously. If Colson Loveland, we've talked about a bunch, is there. If one of these linebackers fall that can help you right off the bat, is there, then it's a different story. But if those guys are gone, and I think Dart's there. Now, the other side is, we've heard from, I think even Schrager may have said it, but others have said the Rams really like Tyler Shuck, who I know you like a lot. Louisville quarterback, I like a lot. And so he's a guy you can get later. And if you're able to trade back and get that extra third, Shuck fits right in that third round where we could get him then and then have him sit behind Stafford and whatnot. And you didn't feel like you used your first pick on a guy that might not play for 2 or 3 years. So I feel like I just gave a big political nothing burger answer.
Well, but no, to your point, I think that 26 is their last chance currently constructed where it is right now. It's their last chance to get Dart.
Yeah.
So calling him a reach there is just because I'm giving him a second round grade on him. But to your point, especially with a quarterback, having that 5th-year option, huge, especially because he's going to sit for 1 to 2 years. So I mean,
yeah, because I think of the situation the Niners are in right now, right, with Brock Purdy. Obviously, I mean, shouldn't complain. He was the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, and he's turned into a viable NFL starting quality quarterback. But they have to make a decision like this season because he doesn't have that 5th-year option that they can kind of lean on for that final kind of resume test. So if they were to take Dart or someone in the first, then it's like, okay, say Stafford plays 2 more years, you then still have 3 years essentially to decide if he's the future or not. Whereas if you only have 2, that gives you some pause because the way the market works, like even if you don't fully believe in him, I mean, look at Dak Prescott, right? Like, I mean, he was a 4th-round pick, didn't have that 5th-year option, and the Cowboys had to overpay to keep him, and they've been paying for it ever since. So sometimes that 5th-year option is actually like a godsend in the evaluation process.
It seems like he's got a contract negotiation every year. I don't know how that happens, but yeah, Dak Prescott. Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right that he's not actually a reach. It's just, within the Rams building, I think that they're so disciplined within their kind of belief system that, and maybe this is a good time to kind of pivot toward that quarterback talk. They've spent a lot of time in air quotes looking into Jackson Dart, exploring him. They have this system where they're not bringing players to them, but going out and meeting them. They want to see them in their natural environment. They want to see them interacting with other people and things like that. It's a very unique process, all highlighted by Jordan Rodriguez. If you've got an athletics subscription, she did a piece last year about the draft process, which was really interesting. Tyler Shuck, they've also been meeting him, but also Jalen Milroe. They've met with him. And then there's one more and Kyle McCord. That's kind of the most recent one that's come out of the woodwork. And that kind of sets up this quarterback class as 1st round, maybe 2nd round. There's no 2nd round pick, but maybe 2nd round, 3rd, and then a day 3. I think probably Milroe is not going to last past the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So, but they've got options at quarterback in all those rounds.
Yeah.
And, last year we saw them attempt to trade up for Brock Bowers and then actually trade up for Braden Fisk. So in their mind's eye, they've got this long-term plan. And, I think they could, they're going to position themselves to get a quarterback this year. Dan Orlovsky be damned.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be shocked if they don't. And, Stafford asked about that, and I loved his answer. He said, I'd welcome him with open arms and try to teach him as much as I possibly can. So, I mean, that's, I think that's what the answer should be, knowing that he's at the end of his career. And it's not like they're drafting someone to come compete with him for the job. They're just setting themselves up for the future. But you see other quarterbacks in the past be like, upset when they take a quarterback because it's not taking a guy that can help them win right now. They basically kind of like, oh no, he's a professional now. He's got to learn on his own and all this other stuff. So, I think that's, it's just encouraging to see that he is on board if the Rams go that way and kind of making the succession plan come to reality. But we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the answer he should say. He always seems like an even keel guy. in that way. He's welcomed in several different backups. So, what's the writing on the wall from Stafford in terms of his career in his head? Does he see himself playing until he's 40? Probably, but
Yeah.
But I think retirement's always been on the table for him as well. He's got a beautiful little family, and it's got to be a tough decision weighing the post life, the post football life, and the playing days. So
Yeah, a lot of estrogen at home. He's probably worried going from the locker room of all men to just all women at home. That's all the time. Big change. But you see these guys now that retire, like how fun their lives look. Like Andrew Whitworth's just on podcasts all the time. He's on Amazon Prime on Thursday Night Football, just like making the rounds. Like have these guys retire and just like get gifted a media gig and just go make more money than they made in their career and just have fun.
and he's good on camera. I mean,
Yeah.
super smart
He'll
guy.
do whatever he wants. That's what's crazy.
Well, and he's the second richest football player of all time.
Yeah.
Is that the statistic behind Brady? No, Brady
Behind Rodgers, I think.
Oh, Rodgers. Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Rodgers.
Brady took a lot of. Brady's got to be the highest earners in terms of like overall like endorsement deals and all that stuff. But yeah, just NFL earnings. He took a lot of pay cuts in those Super Bowl years. All right, let's get to Rossini, Diane Rossini of The Athletic, her report or her mock or whatever you want to call it. She had the Rams trading up. So opposite of Schrager. Schrager's trading back. She has them trading up. What do you think of that?
Well, trading up specifically for a tight end. Now, this wasn't a mock draft. This was based on inside information. And so, this time of year, 24 hours away, we're talking, there's all sorts of smoke screens. There's all sorts of false information flying around. And, Schrager could be guilty of propagating false information because he's a buddy and they tell him, hey, go print this out. But I'll say this as well. Both of these could be true.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it is there's a line of demarcation where the Rams are willing to trade up only so far. They're willing to trade only so many assets to go get a guy. I've already mentioned it. They did try to go up unsuccessfully for Brock Bowers. There was a point where they were like, that's too much. Now in hindsight, that, like Brock Bowers on this team, come on. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It turns out he's going to be probably, if he continues the pace, he's a Hall of Famer. Can you say the same thing about Jared Verse at this pace? I don't know. But point being, there's a line where they won't trade up. Now, if you look at where Tyler Warren is expected to go, his kind of lowest mock is at 14 with the Indianapolis Colts. So if he makes it to 15, I could see him trading into there. But the other guy on the board is Colston Loveland, and his consensus is all over the place. I've seen in the top 10. I've seen him going ahead of Warren. I've seen him going at 26 to the Rams. So I think that's definitely in the cards. It's a position that I'm very interested in and skeptical and kind of looking at it with a different lens, a magnifying lens, really. Tyler Higbee looked good at the end of the year, played pretty limited. Colby Parkinson, never really materialized into something really useful. And then they got Davis Allen, still on his rookie contract. All these guys have big question marks. So, are any of these guys Brock Bowers? I don't see that, but definitely useful within the McVay ecosystem as well.
Yeah. I mean, and to your point, the only position I would feel good about them trading up for would be tight end. I don't think there's good corners. Obviously, some corners are going to go before, whether it's Barron or Amos or however you have them listed. I know, obviously, what's his name from Colorado that I'm drawing a blank on now. Travis Hunter is a slash corner / receiver. He's going to go up top 10, top 5. But I don't see a Pat Surtain like corner that would be worth trading up for. I think there's some good talent there. If one of those falls at 26, great. The Rams obviously need corner help. Offensive line, I don't see a guy worth trading up for. Definitely not receiver, not because there's not good receivers, but just based on the room the Rams have, I think that'd be a wasted pick. I've talked a bunch about the Rams taking a receiver in the first round. Linebacker, the Rams just don't value that position enough to trade up for it, so that would feel wasted. Tight end to me is the only one that I would feel worth trading up. Like if somehow Tyler Warren falls to that like 15 range and they can go get him, I'd be all for it. If Loveland is still available at 20 and the Rams just need to get ahead of the Chargers, because I think the Chargers would snatch him in a heartbeat at 22 if he's there, and the Rams just need to move up with the Steelers or the Broncos at 21 or 22, I would feel good about that. I don't feel good about them moving up for another position. I think to me, it's move up for tight end or stay put or move back. I don't, if they move up for like a receiver or a running back or something, I'm not saying, the Rams do a lot of things to their own beat. I personally just wouldn't see that as a good selection at this time. That can obviously grow into one. But yeah, that's my thought. I just think if it's moving up, it's for a tight end. Otherwise, you're staying put or moving back. And sorry, last thing to kind of your point. I think you said this offline. I think there's a drop off after Loveland. I think Warren is tight end 1. I think Loveland is tight end 2 based on kind of how you view his injury history. But I think he can do it all and looks really good when healthy. I think there's a clear drop off after him, but there is still a lot of talent still with, Arroyo out of Miami and the guy from Ball State.
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green. Thank you.
Harold Fannin Jr. Yeah.
Harold Fannin Jr. I think there's some talent out there. The only issue I have with that is the Rams have swung at mid-round tight ends and really haven't hit. Now I know Higbee's been like good. He was a 4th round pick. So Higbee's got a contract extension. He's had some good years. He's got him 500 plus yards multiple times. So I'm not saying Higbee was like a bust by any means, but they've tried this kind of later round tight ends. They tried to get Jacob, I'm drawing a blank, Harris, who they drafted out of like UCF and convert him from like a receiver to tight end or kind of be that X factor kind of thing. And that didn't work out. And so if you have a tight end you love, which we know McVay seemingly really wants one, go up and get him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is a kind of a prevailing wisdom that a first round lock tight end doesn't work out more than it has worked out.
It's true.
And, Sam Laporta kind of proved that wrong. Brock Bowers is obviously proving that wrong. But, those are outlier cases that, there's been several guys. The guy that comes to mind automatically is TJ Hawkinson. And that's because, as we said on the show before, the position is wide ranging. You got to know blocking schemes. You got to know what's going on in the run game, and you got to be able to run routes and know what's going on in the passing game. So there's a wisdom out there to say, wait till the second round and then look for your guy, which Schrager's position would put them in at 36. I think that's probably around the range that Arroyo is going to go in. I think Fannon's probably going to go a bit later. They could kick that can down the road a little bit and still get a guy. Mm-hmm. But I'm so excited about Tyler Warren. It's hard for me not to dig a dude like that.
What's so strange kind of about the tight end hit or miss when you look kind of over the last 5 years to a decade, there's this trend a little bit, especially in the first round, where it's like teams have put a higher value on athletic freak ability, if you will.
Sure.
As opposed to maybe traditional, this is going to sound like, so like, I don't know, but traditional like tight end values, if you will. I don't know what I'm exactly how to word that. But when you look at kind of these top picks of recent and, it comes to mind, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name now with Atlanta, who just hasn't really truly, Kyle Pitts, freak athlete out of Florida, right? Like, but he was never truly like, everyone was like, he was like a tweener, like a tight end receiver tweener. And he hasn't been able to find his footing in the NFL yet. You look at, man, today I'm just like off on these names, but the guy taken with TJ Hawkinson by the Broncos out of Iowa, Noah Fant, another freak athlete, but also kind of a tweener, bigger guy, definitely not a receiver, more a tight end, but not a very good blocker, and was more drafted because of that athletic freak ability. You look at who's now with the Broncos, ironically, drafted by, I think, the Jaguars, and then goes to the Giants. Another guy I'm drawing a blank on his name on. But again, a guy that was just, it'll come to me. I can picture his hair. Anyway, but again, athletic ability, not your true kind of tight end values. And then you look at the tight ends that have had success, and I know they've been drafted later, but that Gronkowski up in San Francisco, George Kittle, obviously Travis Kelce, like these are guys that are not athletic freaks. Like, yeah, they're big. Gronk obviously is a huge specimen, but they're not running 4.2 40s. Like, they're slower guys, but they can block in line. They're big bodies that can get open in space, and they've got a good catch radius. To me, that's Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. Brock Bowers is kind of the one outlier where he was kind of an athletic freak, built like a receiver, but can block like a tight end. And he obviously proved that point. But to me, I'm looking more of like, what is those traditional tight end values? And Tyler Warren is that to a T. Colson Loveland is like that to a T. So anyway, I'm getting long-winded, but I would go up and get one of those guys for sure. If Warren's at 15, go up and get him. But I think he's going to go top 10.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use his services for sure. Interestingly enough, I stumbled upon this really great tool by the NFL, Next Gen Stats, Amazon Web Services, all provided information for this. Tight end, they give tight end a 10% chance that the Rams will take a tight end with their first pick. So we're talking probability here, so it's not 0, but it's far from 100.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about these probabilities that they laid out is the Rams have a really low probability across the board. There's really no consensus, and this is they teamed with DraftKings, so it has to do with betting odds. But cornerback comes in at 24%. Offensive line, that's the next one at 19%. They're predicting the probability to be 19%.
So quarterback was the highest percentage?
Cornerback, sorry.
Oh, corner. Okay, DB.
Cornerback, gotcha. Yeah. DB, yeah. Quarterback comes in at third at 14%.
Above tight end. Okay.
But you look at a team like Las Vegas, they're at 43% to take a running back. Ashton Genty, everybody's been screaming that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the consensus is all over the place, and I think that's by design, but by the Rams coming, all the news that comes out of there. And, I don't think it's necessarily all smoke screen. I don't think it's all, but I think it really is that they just keep everything on the board. They really do believe in best player available. They don't believe in reaching for guys. They prefer to trade back and accumulate picks rather than trading up. That's just a preference though,
Yep.
So but those probabilities just strike me, interesting. So defensive line comes in next at 13, then tight end, wide receiver at 8, linebacker at 7, safety at 5%, and then running back at 1%.
Nice. I love how the position they actually need the most is 7th in probability, 7% linebacker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one they actually need the most. But all right. Well, unless you have anything else you want to chat about, let's end with this. We've talked about Schrager. We've talked about Rossini. We've kind of gone through the gamut of quarterback, tight end. 24 hours from the draft. What is your prediction that they do in the first round?
I think they trade back out of the first round into that. I'm leaning Schrager.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Giants necessarily. I would like to see them pick up a third that's a bit higher as well. Just because it's still a big jump from 36, let's say, to 90. But that's I'm just fantasizing now.
Okay. Yeah, that makes the most sense for sure. I think them trading back. I'll just be different because I agree with you. I think that's probably the most likely, but I'll be different. I think that there's actually going to be a lot more trades than we saw last year in this first round. And I think we'll see, like every year, like quarterbacks, everyone's low on them. And then all of a sudden, like a bunch will go. I'm not saying like 6 like last year, but I think we'll see maybe more go. I think the Rams end up staying at 26. I think someone's going to fall in their lap, kind of similar to how Jared Verse did last year. There was all the talk. They wanted to trade up for Bowers, and it was like, okay, once he goes, they're going to trade down, and they end up staying and take the defensive rookie of the year at 19 because no defender went till pick 15 last year. So I'm going to predict that somehow. No, I can't do that. Colson Loveland's not making it past the Chargers if he's there. There's no way. So I was going to say they sit there and he falls to him, but there's no way he makes it past the Chargers at 22. But I still think they sit. I think they stay at 26. I don't know what player, what position, but I think someone falls to them at 26.
So here's kind of the big board, the consensus big board that I'm looking at of what they're prioritizing. So Tyler Warren, Armin Membu, which is tackle from Missouri.
Yep.
Colson Loveland, tight end. Jahdae Barron,
yep.
Cornerback. Matthew Golden, wide receiver. Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. Yep. Gray Zabel. That priority list is fascinating because I think that all of those guys before Jackson Dart are gone before 26. So if they like any of them, they're going to have to trade up. So,
okay, I'm changing my answer.
So if they're at 26 and Jackson Dart is hanging out there, they got to do it.
They got to do it. But here, okay, I'm changing my prediction. So, and Evan Ingram was the other tight end. I could not remember the name. That's with Denver now.
Nice. Oh yeah.
I think Pittsburgh ends up trading up from 21 to go get a quarterback, whether it's Dart or Sanders, whoever kind of slips into the teens. So I think someone's going to trade back from the teens to 21. I think the Rams then trade up to 21. So that team moves back again, and the Rams take Loveland at 21.
I love that.
The Chargers. I'm going to go with that because that's just fun and wild. And they won't have to. They're only moving up 4 spots, so I don't think they'll have to give up a lot to get there. Yeah, I think they go get Loveland at 21.
I like that too. That's a achievable trade. And we were talking about how there's very little consensus beyond like the top 5, really.
Yeah.
And all the teams own their first round pick this year, which is the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, it's wild.
And nobody has 2, first rounders this year, which is actually weird that it's kind of like multiple teams have had multiple first round picks recently.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be a lot of trade movement.
Yeah. Well, I saw also, sorry to interrupt. I saw also that this is the first time ever in the draft era since 1967 that, and this was 3 days ago, so it still obviously hasn't happened, that there has not been a pre-draft first round trade. So to your point, like every team has a pick, no multiple ticks. There's yet to be a trade. Every year there's been some trade leading up to the draft starting, and this year there's yet to be one.
Well, and to me, that makes it even more clear that there is no consensus. Everybody's just like, I don't know how this board's going to fall out.
Just waiting to see it play out.
My guy could be there, you know, and if he's not, we'll trade.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's going to be a lot of chaos, which I cannot wait to spend it with you. We will be live on this show after day 1 and after day 2. We'll see about day 3, how it goes. Might do just a full roundup on Sunday, but for sure after day 1, we'll be live right here on the Rams LAFB YouTube channel. So make sure to come hang out with us there. Cannot wait. Draft season's the best. It's been a fun coverage season, and now we get to finally see it come to fruition in 24 hours. So Skinny, anything else to add before we sign off for the day?
I'll try to do better next time.
Love that. Always try to do better the next time. Thank you all, as always, for hanging out with us. If you have not already, please hit that like and subscribe button on the Rams LAFB YouTube page. You can find all of our Rams content at LAFBnetwork.com, or if you prefer audio, just search Rams Skinny on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. That's Skinny T. I'm Ryan Dyer. We'll be back with you live Thursday night after the first round to maybe talk about a Rams pick, maybe talk about a lot of nothing if they trade back, but we'll be there regardless. Hopefully see you all there. Have a good one. Enjoy. Talk to you all soon.